Hello and welcome. I am going live to bring someone really exciting, someone that I love following and getting awesome, beautiful advice from. Charla, welcome. Let me see here. Let me get you on. Bear with me just one moment. Charla Bocchicchio on here in just a moment. I'm super excited. There you are.
Here I am.
Hello.
Hi there. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm excellent.
Well, welcome and thank you so much for sharing your time and energy and passion with the viewers here. Thank you.
My pleasure.
So when I reached out to you, well, actually I just put a post and you responded. You're such a giving person. It's so wonderful. And honestly, I was going to ask you anyway, but honestly, I thought it was going to take a while to be able to reach out to you. So I appreciate you volunteering your time. And where I'm coming from here is I really want to get actors, people that feel in their heart that they're an actor, they're a storyteller, they're someone that wants to get into the business, but maybe they're holding themselves back, or they're in it, they're dabbling around with it a little bit, and they just, there's all that uncertainty, just to give some guidance and reassurance and inspiration to those that want to pursue their acting career or to bump it up a level. So that's what I expressed, and you responded, and you're such a giving person, and so thank you for being here.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thanks for having me on. Again, I don't know what I can say that will help others, but maybe somebody will grab something and go, yeah, I like that. So we'll see.
I'm sure that they can. I know I have, being around you, and I've gained so much from you. So I'm sure others will as well.
Good.
So I have a few questions. First of all, when did you start acting? And was it something like right away you knew this is what you wanted to do?
I guess I started officially acting, like not just playing around in my living room when I was a child and, standing on the hearth of the fireplace singing, whatever it was. I guess I started, can you hear my dog barking, by the way?
I can, but your dog's beautiful. So
Sorry about that.
It's not distracting.
It's that time of night where the neighbors are coming home and she likes to sit at the front door and watch and just like be.
When I sat down, my dog started barking too. I'm like, really?
She wasn't barking until this moment. Hopefully it won't be too distracting. I might have to go shut the door.
It's not bad. It'll bother you more than us.
Probably. So anyway, I started acting really in high school, I guess. I was doing musical theater then and singing in choirs and stuff like that. And I knew then that there was something about like telling these stories and bringing these characters to life that was really, I don't know, it was something I felt like I had to do more of. And so after I graduated from high school, I took a little tiny detour and went to be a nanny in Connecticut for like a few months before I realized that was not what I needed to do. It was nuts. There were 4 kids in that family.
Oh, wow.
And I'm an 18-year-old girl who had never been out of Utah. And I was like, so I got back to Utah and started at the U finally. And I decided to study theater. And that's really where I got immersed in more than just musical theater. At that point, it was like I was studying legitimate, straight plays. And there was something really, really special about my time at the U. I took a beginning acting class from Zan Johnson, who's I think still kind of there. He's probably semi-retired. But there was a sense memory exercise that we did, and it touched me so deeply, and it brought up all this crap from my childhood, and I was like really in a kind of vulnerable state. And he came up to me and he said, if you want to pursue this, I think you'd be really good. And it was the first time I'd kind of heard anybody say anything like that. He said, I think what I see in you is this vulnerability and this willingness to sort of look inside. And a lot of people shy away from that. So with that, I just went forward with it and did mostly theater for the younger part of my life. And then when I got to be an adult, like an older adult, I started to do more film and commercials and television.
That's so powerful, having, someone see that in you and connect with you and be able to encourage you. And that's something that I see you do for so many people in the community here. And it's super powerful. So I can understand where that comes from now. And that's just so beautiful. I was looking on your bio, and it mentioned, I think it was when you went to LA, that you mentioned a change in your paradigm when you were working with Anthony Meindl. Is that, can you share either specifically that, or just how that change happened and how it impacted you?
Yeah, and that was really later in my life. I was in my 40s at that point, and when I got out to LA, and I found his classes because he was sort of introduced to me from my now husband. We met in an improv class at UCB in LA, and it was such a great place to meet. We still laugh every day. But he had been taking classes from Tony, and he was just swearing by him. And so I was able to get into the beginning workshop. And what I experienced with him was, like, the first time an acting teacher wasn't bothered by all this work of analyzing the script and, trying to become this character. He was really a big fan of, hey, you already are the character. You just need to find you in there. And then it reminded me, when I was at the U studying theater, I was reminded of studying Uta Hagen. And Uta Hagen said in one of her books, she said she had spent so much of her younger career having people and teachers telling her that she needed to lose herself in the character, to really be able to bring this character to life. You had to completely lose yourself. And she said, it wasn't until I figured out that I needed to find myself in the character that I was able to really change the whole paradigm. So I had heard that before as a younger actor, but until I got into Tony's class, it just didn't completely click with me, I think, in a way that really made sense. I needed to hear it at that time in my life from him. And so, it's all about his method really is all about finding what makes us unique. Where do we stand out, and how can we bring us to these stories, to these little scenes that we're doing? He was a big fan of cold reads. He did not spend a lot of time on memorized text because he kind of believes in this idea that the lines come last, the dialogue comes last, that the majority of the work needs to come in your internal space. And what I call the internal monologue, basically, that if that's active and if that's truthful, then the dialogue will make sense.
Yes, super powerful. It's so interesting because I've recently, like you said, it's things that you've heard before, but I just now recently have grasped that and understand, and then it's become more fun, that much more. So that's so beautiful. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
What obstacles did you face? Some of the obstacles that you faced during your acting career, and how were you able to overcome them? Is there anything, again, either specifically or just how you approach them, changing perspective?
So many obstacles. I think I love to see these people that are joining in. GL Walker, look at you. Anyway, so obstacles came in different forms throughout my life that had to deal with, what was getting in the way of my acting. One of the first obstacles that came in was when I had a child and was doing the whole family thing, right? we moved to Birmingham, Alabama when she was a year old. My then husband was from Birmingham, and we were going back there so he could go to law school. And that sort of put a temporary stop to any acting that I was doing. And at that time I was just doing theater, but I was also teaching. So I took, like a year basically off of doing anything. I was just being a mom. Mm-hmm. And then I found some ways to be able to get back to teaching. And eventually, I think Cassidy, my daughter, was probably 2.5, 3 years old. And my husband at the time said, you need to look in the newspaper, because this was back in the 90s, right? Mm-hmm. You didn't have the internet, really. You need to look in the newspaper at audition notices, and you need to find a play to do. Because he was like, you're driving me nuts, and you're going to go nuts if you don't do this. So I looked up, what local theater companies were doing auditions, and I found this. It was an evening of one-act plays by Tennessee Williams. The Ladies of Tennessee is what they called it. And I auditioned for it, got the role. And that was sort of my introduction back into theater after putting things on hold and being a mom. So you find ways to make it work. He was still in law school at that point. So he was, he was willing to try to get home a little bit early to, be with Cassidy so that I could go to the rehearsals and things like that. So you just kind of find a way to make it work. Other obstacles that got in the way were, and it's kind of related to family stuff, really. Mm-hmm. Family kind of tends to come first in a lot of our lives. And for me, it did. And, whenever there was some family issue that was coming up, it was like I had to sort of step back and say, okay, maybe I need to be home right now, mm-hmm. rather than performing or whatever. And then, of course, and not to get too heavy, but my daughter ended up suffering from substance use disorder most of her adolescence. And that always kind of, I don't want to say got in the way, but it was an obstacle. I remember many times being in rehearsal and getting a panicked phone call of some perceived, crisis from her or from my husband at the time, because there was never just quiet. It was like that disease, just everything's on this level way up here. And so, of course, things are gonna come up. I remember in doing a play in Birmingham where I got to act with my daughter, and she was 17 at the time. We were playing mother and daughter in it. It was called From Up Here. Beautiful script. And opening night, Cassidy has kind of a meltdown, panic attack. It really didn't have to do with performing, because she loved to act too, and that was her thing. But it was just, for whatever reason, brought on by all of this stuff that was going on with her internally. She had this meltdown, and we didn't think she was going to show up. And I went ahead and I said to my husband, I don't know what's going to happen here, but can you please talk to her? And I went to the theater and I talked to the director, Billy Ray Bruton. And I was like, I was in tears. It was awful. And I thought, this is going to ruin the show. And of course I'm going to internalize everything and blame her and blame myself. And everyone just kind of went, okay, what do we do? We're going to call the understudy. We're going to get her here. Blah, blah, blah. And they just sort of like put all this stuff in motion. And by the time, maybe 15 minutes later, Cassidy shows up with Chris, with her dad, and she's fine. And she's able to go on. And I was so angry at her for, putting us all through that. But I was grateful that she got to do the show anyway. So another obstacle, something that is very specific. She and I went out to LA together after I divorced her dad in 2012, I guess it was. And then, of course, another big obstacle happened a few years later when she overdosed on fentanyl and she died. It's interesting. You kind of, life doesn't stop just because we have a career in front of other people where we're, kind of bearing our souls on camera on a daily basis. It doesn't just come to a halt. So you have to I had to figure out ways to just sort of keep going. And of course I took time off, when that happened. And then I found another purpose, and that was sharing her story and writing the book.
And I know that you wrote that back in 2019, right? And
that's when it was published.
Okay. And what's the name of the Coping with My New Normal?
It's My New Normal, A Mother's Story of Love and Loss in the Opioid Epidemic. Yeah. So Cassidy died in 2016 on November 11th, and I published it. It went live on Amazon November 11th of 2019. Mm. So exactly 3 years after she died. And I've been talking and speaking at treatment centers and things ever since, sharing her story.
It's beautiful that you can go and share that story and help reach others that way. And is your book still available on Amazon?
It is. Yeah. It's on, you can get it paperback on Amazon or an ebook. If you have Kindle Unlimited, it's a free download.
Okay.
But I think otherwise it's like I can't remember, like $2 or something for the ebook. And then, the paperback is, I think, $13.99. But yeah, it's available on Amazon. And if anyone wants a copy from me that is signed, or for whatever reason, I have a small box of books here in Utah, in Salt Lake, that I'm happy to hook people up with.
That's really powerful in being able to, share the story. I mean, you're a storyteller. That's what you help do. And now it's just really bringing it to another level to really impact people on a very deep personal level. So do you feel that has brought you into a different, like, do you see yourself writing more or continuing that, or do you think that's taking you down a new path?
I don't think so. I never considered myself a writer, and it just, I had this story that I had to tell, and I felt compelled to start writing about it a few months after it happened. So I feel like I got it out from in here, and I shared it, and I'm still sharing it. And I don't really have the drive to keep writing. But I will say this, my loss, that loss that I suffered, has deeply impacted my acting. It's sort of like it's exposed this whole new vulnerability. I mean, I felt like I was able to be vulnerable before, but when I lost my only daughter, it was like, okay, there is something in me that not everyone's experienced. I have gone through something that some of us have. And, there's like this club they talk about that once you've lost a child, you belong to it, whether you want to or not. But once I lost her, it was like, okay, I can choose to shut down and not talk about it and not deal with it and not show anything that's happening inside of my heart. Or I can embrace it and go, okay, this is where I am, and this is my new normal. This is what I've got. I am a mother who lost her only child. And it's interesting because the first project I came back to after taking a few weeks off after Cassidy died, it was reshoots or an additional scene, I think, for it was a small short film. Mm-hmm. And it was about an adult girl who has cancer, but she decides to end her life with the help of her sister. And this particular scene that we needed to shoot was when the parents, me and Steve Lesser played the dad, when the parents find the note that she had left for the family to read after she had died. This was the first project I got back to after dealing with losing Cassidy. And I was like, okay, this is like a make or break here. Am I going to be willing to go all in and really use what I've gone through? Or am I going to just be a stone wall and not make myself available emotionally to these stories? And I chose to make myself emotionally available. And it was hard, and everyone was so beautiful and so wonderful on set that day. Really compassionate and very sensitive to everything that had happened. And they ended up dedicating the movie to Cassidy, which was kind of sweet. So, I think, I've got a whole new arsenal of emotional stuff because of that, because of everything that I've been through. Life isn't rosy all the time.
No.
I've been through a couple of divorces. I think all the things that have happened in my life have made me who I am now. So I'm grateful for them. I wouldn't change a thing. Yeah, would I like to have my daughter back? Yeah, but I'd like to have her back in her healthiest form, where she's not suffering from addiction. And I don't think that was possible with where she was.
You mentioned several times, and I hear it when you talk, and I think it's such an important message, is you talk about your choices, the choices that you personally made on how you chose to interpret things and how you chose to use things. And I think that's such a powerful message to everyone in life and in their acting choices and everything. So to understand, and you have such ownership over the direction that you want to head in. And so I think that's just a really powerful message there, that we do have choices on how we want things to impact us. We don't have the choices of the circumstances that are handed to us always, but we have the choices of how they're going to impact us and how we're going to move forward, and how you've chosen to share your story and make an impact and help other people's lives. And Stars Management in there was asking, well, what about maybe a film about the story, about your book?
A few people have asked me about that. I would be completely open to that concept, but I'm not going to produce it.
Yeah.
I'm not a producer, and I'm not a director. I was a director for youth theater plays, but I don't want to be on that side of it. I'm happy to consult. I will say this in another way. I've got a very good friend from Birmingham that is a playwright and a screenwriter, and she's also an actor and a director, Bernadette Chapman, and she's writing a play called, oh my gosh, I just forgot the name of the play. Waiting on Word, that's what it's called. And it happens in a children's hospital waiting room. And there are these three families that are there for different reasons. And one of the families is there because their daughter has overdosed on opiates. And she's there, all of them are waiting to hear. The other family is their daughter's getting a heart transplant. And that's Bernadette's story, my friend's story. Her daughter had a heart transplant and is doing wonderfully. And then the other family had the quarterback of the football team got shot after a game. So she definitely, in that way, I've sort of been consulting with her on the story and making sure that everything feels right on that family's story that's dealing with the overdose. But yeah, I would love to see. Well, here's the thing. So much lately, since 2016, when the opiate crisis just blew up, so much has been exposed in Hollywood right now. So a lot of movies were written about this. There was, there was the Julia Roberts thing. I can't even remember the names of these movies, but her son was dealing with an addiction thing. That was just a couple of years ago. And then there was another, was it Steve Carell maybe? So, I feel like these stories are being told. I don't know what my story would offer that's necessarily much different. But yeah, I think it's a beautiful thing to think about. So, hey, if anyone wants to make a film about my story and Cassidy's story, let's do it.
Awesome. That's awesome. I would like to ask, what advice would you like to give your younger self about acting? Is there any tip that you would like to?
I don't think I was a very good actor when I was in college. I was so concerned with performing and emoting. And there's something really self-indulgent about that. It's like it's very selfish. I think I would say to my younger self, acting is not about you necessarily. It's about telling the story. And yes, you are the vehicle, but stop emotionally masturbating.
Did you feel that message was out there though? Do you feel like, was it being taught and you were just not receiving that because of the age, or was it just because back then, like, I have a view that it was different back then, but I was different back then. So.
Right. I mean, it's always different when we're different. I don't know. That's a really good question. I think, well, just being trained like in a classical sense for theater certainly is different than training that's necessary for camera work. You know, I mean, you have to do a little more work to get your message across to the back row of the 1,000-seat theater. You know, I mean, it just doesn't work otherwise. You can't, the story's not all in the eyes anymore. It's about your body language and your voice and all of that kind of stuff. So I feel like, yeah, it does take a different technique, I suppose. And, but, you know, I think it took until I had gone through some stuff emotionally on a personal level when I really was able to go, oh, like to understand human nature and pain and conflict and all that. I don't think I had enough experience. I guess no one really does when they're that age.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Awesome. What do you think, taking that into consideration with probably a lot of the younger actors, but also all the actors that you deal with? I know you deal with older actors like myself as well, but what do you think that holds actors back the most? And what magical insight or gift? I know it's on us to listen to instructors and to, you know, try different things, but what magical insight or gift could you like you wish that you could give to your students, and that they just like grasp it, or they can do it and run away with it?
Okay, so what holds them back? In my experience, I see that a lot of young actors in particular, and beginning actors of any age really, I think their self-consciousness holds them back, being worried about how they are appearing to other people, worrying a little bit about others' perceptions of them. And that really has to do with that concept of like feeling like they have to perform, I think. You know, stop talking about how the character's feeling, just feel it. You know, just put yourself in the imaginary circumstance and be there and be authentic and 100% real. That's where the magic is. So yeah, I see that they get in their own way because they're stuck a little bit in here in their actor brain, like I like to call it.
Yep.
You know, if I could give anybody a magical piece of, I don't know, fairy dust to make everything better, I think it would have to do with the gift of listening in the scene, really listening, not just hearing, but, you know, like fully immersing yourself in a moment with another human and really paying attention to what you're getting from them. Like that moment of communion that two actors have when they're totally present. It's a beautiful thing. And
it's gorgeous.
I love it. I love to be there in the moment, and I love to watch it happen between two actors. It feels a little reverent
yes,
to me.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. Well, if you get some of that fairy dust, I'll be calling you. That's for sure.
I'll hook you up with some.
Awesome. What are there any specific goals that you're currently working toward in your acting career? Is there anything that hey, I want that, or are you enjoying everything? I mean, you seem like you're just absolutely enjoying everything that you do.
I do enjoy every opportunity that comes to me. A few years ago when my husband and I met, he asked me, he asked me, what are my goals for, where do you see yourself in 5 years? What do you really want out of all this? And I said to him, I want to be a steadily working actress, and I want to continue to teach and coach in a normal, regular way, like that's just what I do. And I've been able to do that. I mean, I'm a steadily working actor here in Utah, and I'm grateful for every opportunity that I have. And I'm so grateful that I've been able to continue coaching even with COVID stuff. We've been doing everything on Zoom.
Well, that's because you do like audition classes and that sort of thing, right? Is that some of the stuff that you do?
Yeah, what I've been doing since I guess last July is when I started this virtual auditioning workshop on Zoom. So we're learning how to get our self-tape setup ready and our Zoom setup so that, technically we look good and the lighting's okay and we got our backdrop. So dealing with the actual Zoom auditions, which a lot of stuff has moved to that. And then of course, making sure we're mastering our self-taping, which is just, you have to know that now. And I don't think it's going anywhere anytime soon. It's going to be around for a while. So we might as well get comfortable with it. Yeah. So I've been doing that. And then I just decided to start back up the weekly audition workout on Zoom for now.
I'm a little excited.
And then once we're all vaccinated, then we'll move to in-person classes, maybe by the, late summer or whatever. I'll just pay attention to what the, officials are telling us. But yeah, starting March 17th, every Wednesday night on Zoom. If you join, you pay your, single class fee of $30, or you can buy a 4-class card for $100, get a little bit of a discount. Same format basically as we used to do when we were in person, pretty much, except that we're on Zoom. Awesome. So I'm excited about that. Yeah. But as far as
you're internationally accessible. So that's
I guess
awesome.
so. Yeah. As far as other goals, I think moving forward, I want to continue working as much as possible, but not just working on anything. I think I'm getting a little more choosy. In the last couple of years, I've noticed that I've kind of been like, okay, I could be working all the time if I kind of just really wanted to do free work and not, just like be involved in something all the time. Hey, Ethan. But I realized a few years ago that what I do has value, and it's okay to put a price tag on that for myself.
Absolutely.
I think it's valuable to do work that's not paid at a certain point in your journey, to learn what you're doing, learn how to be on set, get experience, get footage for your demo reels, get resume items, all that kind of stuff. But there comes a point, there comes a point where you need to say, you know what, I'm worth a paycheck.
Absolutely.
What I offer is worth money. And so I kind of put my minimum idea in my head. I will not step on set unless I get this, unless there are some exceptions. And that is if it's just a project I really believe in and they're not able to pay me right away or at all. There are those passion projects that I think we all would be involved in, depending on who's involved in it and all of that. So yes, there are definitely those things that I do.
Absolutely. I love that. You had told me that. That's one of the first things I remember you saying. I think it was in one of the classes that I took from you. And it really set really well with me. And I think through that, I've been able to listen, there are different projects that come up and I just feel like, okay, who's involved with it? What's going on? And there have been some things that I've put so much time and effort into, and it's just I've gotten so much back. That's more than money. Yeah. And then there are other things that like, no, that's not enough money.
Yeah.
So that's really stayed with me, and it landed very well. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Awesome. And so what do you have coming out? Where can we find you?
Oh my goodness.
How can we devour your content? I was watching a couple different things today, and I mean, you give so much. I know YouTube, I don't know if that's where you want people to go, but there's so much that you can give, especially new actors looking for stuff.
There's just a lot of crazy content on my YouTube channel. I don't know. Like I have a playlist of video auditions and then just like BTS stuff and all of my commercials that I can access, and like trailers and clips and stuff.
If you want to go and just like lighten your spirits, go to her YouTube and watch her commercial reels, and oh my goodness, I love them. You're one of the best comedians ever.
Oh my gosh.
It's so awesome.
I have so much fun doing commercials. So yeah, people can find me on YouTube. They can find me here on Instagram at Charla Actor. I'm trying to figure out all this social stuff, and I don't do it very well. I'm like finally realizing that, I can post a story if I want to rather than just a post. But then of course, Facebook, I've got my professional page and then my personal page, but it's all acting. Mm-hmm. As far as what's coming up, I've got a few things that are kind of exciting. It's funny because I'm stuck in this place right now where I've worked on some really great things that are not out yet, and so it's like the void of, come on, I shot it, I know it really happened, but am I ever gonna see it on screen? I was able to be in an episode of The Chosen, which was just this amazing opportunity to be involved in that project, and they're just finishing season 2 shooting, and I think they're gonna release in the spring around Easter. That's what they keep talking about. Another film that I'm super excited about is Alien Country, which was shot last fall, summer-ish, I guess fall mostly. I played the antagonist, one of the main antagonists in this. I can't say very much about my character, but I had the best time on set with them. I mean, it is
that cast and crew, my goodness,
amazing group. I know, amazing group of filmmakers, and I met some new people. It was so fun working with Sharon again. Do you know Sharon?
I don't, but
okay, he's
just
amazing.
Watching all of the stuff in there, and I see what they're going on to do and stuff. Yeah,
and Rennie and Boston, who are the creators, and they are just this power couple. You know, they're married to each other. They're just this beautiful, like, wonderful young couple that's got all this like energy and excitement, and they're really great storytellers, and I can't wait to see what happens with this. I just have this like gnawing feeling that this is going to be. It's going to be big.
It's got energy behind. Like I feel that too, and I have no ties to the movie at all. I mean, there are people that I know in it, but you know, but there's a lot of really good energy around this movie. I'm excited.
There is. So I'm really excited to see what happens with it, and I know they're having some meetings with possible distributors and stuff like that. So we'll see. So that's to be. I don't know when it's going to be released. Obviously, they're in post-production now. Awesome. Some other things I'm starting to film a couple of things coming up. There's a new feature with Lenny, and what else do I have? There's another short that was put on hold last spring because of COVID that's starting to shoot again. Anyway, I've got a few projects in the works. Just finished kind of a little side project, which was a short film, which I don't do a ton of those anymore. But this one was really it caught my eye because they shot it on 35 millimeter film.
Ooh.
Eric McFarland is the director. It was a really cool experience. I hadn't worked on film since I was in college. Like real film, like where you can, when they say roll camera, they are literally rolling and you can hear that.
That's so cool.
I had forgotten about it until I got on set, but that was really great. It's like a horror suspense kind of the film. A really powerful female trinity, me and Michaela Iverson. I play her grandmother, and then Marilyn Miller. I don't know if you know Marilyn or Michaela. Marilyn plays the grandmother. So yeah, I think it has the potential of being really cool. And the footage, I can't wait to see. So yeah, a few exciting things.
Awesome.
And then, and keep an eye out for a new Trophy Skin commercial with me and Talitha Hanks. And there's a commercial that I keep getting messages about, that people watching CNN are seeing the credit repair commercial. I'm sitting on a pool chair with Talitha Hanks, by the way. We keep getting cast in the same commercials. But yeah, a lot of fun things coming.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so very much. I appreciate all of your time, and I look forward to everything that you're in. So I'll be diving around more in there, and just some of those commercials I'll just keep going back to. So thank you so much.
Potpourri.
And how, again, what's the best way to look into your acting class?
Acting classes. You can go on my website, charlaactor.com. charlaactor.com. And you can you can email me too at charlaactor@gmail.com. So yeah,
awesome.
Let me know.
Well, thank you so very much.
Thank you, Melanie.
All right, take care. If anyone has questions, just go ahead and message me, and we'll talk to you later.